Hey, everybody, it's your friend James Shaw. Thank you so much for joining us today. I love talking to people about how to succeed, and we spend a lot of time in this community talking about how to build a great business, take more listings, and work with buyers, and reach out to your database. And so much time we spend talking about doing just that. We don't always spend as much time talking about the other stuff. How do we make it all work? And so we've done a session or two with that recently. We talked to Jay Papasan earlier. And I want to keep that conversation going. And we're going to do it today with somebody who I admire, who I think has built a successful business in multiple ways, but also is a great mom and a great wife and just an overall great friend. Leah McCann, we're happy to have you. Thanks for being here.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm super honored, James.
Yeah, I'm excited. Will you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell them who you are and a little bit about you.
So, my name is Leah McCann. My husband and I run the McCann Group here in Fort Myers and officially expanded to the beaches of the Space Coast. I was the team leader of KW Fort Myers and the Islands, and I'm a mom of 4 amazing kids. Kelly and I have been together 22 years. It'll be our 20th wedding anniversary coming up here in a couple of months. And I love Jesus. I don't know.
Well, we love you and we love your husband and we love your family. When you and I met, I was a bold coach in Fort
Yes,
Myers. You had 3 kids back then.
we did.
And
Yes.
and that's when we met. But I've just always admired how you've been able to have a successful business, have a successful marriage. And I'm sure it's not pink fluffy unicorns, but you've got a great marriage, and you've got great kids. I've met all your kids; they're all great human beings. It's just you've been able to somehow kind of balance it all. But I don't really know that balancing is possible.
Mhm.
So I'm curious on how have you done that? How have you created a great business? Because your team still ran while you were a team leader, and still have a great relationship with your husband, and still have be a great mom to your kids. How do you create something that looks like it's balanced?
So I think in reading, Gary's always told us you can never be balanced. You have to be counterbalanced. And I'm going to say that first and foremost is faith. You have to have faith. We know we didn't create ourselves. So, whatever that looks like for you, just be strong in that and know that no matter what, when you do get out of balance or when things aren't going the way you think they're going to go, you've got faith. You know that you're going to get through it. It isn't the end of the world. Whatever it is that you're walking through, you're going to find a way. So I think having that, and obviously prayer is really important to me. I think relationships, who you're in relationship matters. If you're really striving to have a little bit more balance, whether it's in your marriage, what are the marriages that you're surrounded with? If it's having a little bit more unity with your children, who are the other parents that you're surrounding yourself with that are pouring into you to help strengthen you as a parent? And then obviously for business, what business owners are you surrounding yourself with? John Maxwell and Diana Kokoska, James, 2 of the greatest mentors of mine, they were like best friends, kind of like you and John Acuff. They just don't know me like that. So they've always said, you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And years ago, John Maxwell told me he would have coffee with some leader every single week. So during COVID, when I moved into a leadership role and I really wanted to grow as a leader, I didn't get to sit with people and have coffee. I got to have coffee with them, right, on Zoom, and just really pick their brain and find out what were they doing, what challenges did they face, and kind of learn and grow through them. So I think relationships are super important. And then the other thing I would say is read. I love reading. I think if you can immerse yourself in a book, and you have done that so well for us over the past few years. Kelly jokes he's read more books in the last 4.5 years as part of Pivot and Inspire than he has read in his entire life, even through college. So I think putting yourself in books, learning and growing, and then taking whatever it is that you learn and go implement that into your life wherever you find yourself off balance. So faith, relationships, and reading.
Okay, it's all really good stuff. I've been doing a lot more reading too, quite frankly. It's fascinating, and I'm learning so much. Relationships. Let's go back to that one because you said during COVID and you're a team leader, you wanted to sit down with other leaders and learn from them. But how does one do that? Well, how do you find somebody, some random, to go sit down and have coffee with you?
So I think utilizing the people that are in your ecosystem, or at mega camp, my first mega camp as a team leader was amazing, and then a few months later our world shut down. So I was very purposeful to meet some of the team leaders that had been in the role for a really long time and say, hey, I know none of us have navigated a pandemic like this. Yet I know in your market center, you've gone through some sort of trial or change or whatever it is. How did you navigate that? And just kind of, pick their brain. And the coolest part about it is what I found is every unique situation we go through in life as a leader or as a parent or as a friend or as a spouse is going to be different. And you're going to get the opinion of somebody. You're going to kind of get the what you should do, what you could do, all of those things. And I think having balance is taking what they shared and figuring out how it's true to you, because all too often we take what somebody says and we feel like that's how it needs to be. So we talk to somebody and maybe they're really winning in their marriage and they say all the things that they're doing well. And then we look inward and say, I'm not doing any of that. And then you feel failed. And the truth is, what are they doing and how can you change one thing, or how can you take what they're doing and kind of plus it in your world and don't try to change everything at once? And I see that in business, and you've seen it too, where we've got all these shiny objects, all these great ideas, and we get into relationship with people and we want to model their business, yet we're not where they're at. And then we wake up every day feeling like overwhelmed or stressed or whatever emotion, because we can't do all of that. And you're not supposed to do all of that. You're supposed to just do one thing to move your business forward. So I think just being intentional. Who are the people? Who are you listening to? Podcast? Who are you reading about? Reach out to them. Leaders want to pour into other people. We often just don't pick up the phone and make the call.
Do we need to be careful about comparison, though? Like you just said, that we're looking and we might be here in some area and the person we're modeling is here. There's already a gap. So we need to be careful of kind of comparing insides to outsides.
100%. And I think, we learned that in Bold, right? And I think I've really learned that at a deeper level in the last 3 years when it comes to our children and their schooling. And, curriculum is one thing. And it's like, well, if you go to school and you're in this grade, you should do everything like this. You should write like this. You should read like this. You should type like this. And the truth is, I want our kids to have their own individual success with whatever they're naturally gifted at. Just like we as adults have to learn that down the road, I'm thinking, let's teach that to them sooner so they don't come home and say, little Johnny finished his math right away, or I'm really struggling with this problem, or I'm dumb, or I'm this. And I thought it's those soundtracks that start when they're so young that we carry into our adulthood. And so read that book, Soundtracks. Give your kids my new playlist. Let them unlearn those things. And then for us as adults, change the soundtrack that maybe you grew up listening and remove the comparison for you and give yourself permission to live where you are today.
Soundtracks by John Acuff. So
Yes.
Second time he's come up here. And then my new playlist is the kind of teen version he wrote with his daughter, which is Soundtracks, but a teen version. That's great. I'm glad that those two books have helped you. I'm curious about something. I've known you a long time. We're good friends, and I've been behind the curtain, right, and seen some of your journey a little bit about when it's been great and when it's been challenging. But you seem to have a passion for helping people and wanting to succeed. And what I've noticed about you is when you're a team leader, if I talk to you about team leader stuff during a team leader day, you were all in on being a team leader. If I'm hanging out with you and your family, you're all in on being family. If you're coming to the event, you're all there to learn. I'm curious about how you compartmentalize all of that. How do you balance and easily move from, all right, I'm a team leader or running my business, or it's Kelly and I are going to hang out tonight, or I'm doing this. How does one manage all that? You got a lot going on with 4 kids and a husband and multiple businesses that you're running.
So that's a great question. And please know I don't have it mastered. It's something that we are intentional to think about every single day. I am still a old school. I live by my calendar. I also have a digital version. And yes, I'm an Android user. So go ahead and make fun of me now.
No making fun of you. That is secure.
Okay, that's
Android
right. That's right.
is the way to go. You're doing the right thing, Leah. I'm proud of you. Another reason, let me write that. Another reason why I like the McCann.
So I think it's prioritizing what is important, and then what is important you become very purposeful about. And I think, again, going back to, like, we are here to live on purpose, not by accident, not just because I want to be purposeful. I'm very clear on who I am. I'm very clear on what we want to do. Do I get off track? Yes. Am I human? Do I have feelings? Do I have rough days? Absolutely. Do I give myself permission to live in that space for a hot minute and then move out of it? Yep. So I think just knowing where do you want to go? You talked a little bit about it on the pivot call when you said kind of understanding your big why. And sometimes you have to revisit that. And the big why doesn't have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be a tangible thing where you work towards it and then you say, okay, now what? Because all too often that's what happens, right? We work with MREA teams, they hit MREA status, and then they look up and say, now what? What did I do? And I think remembering that it isn't about what you accomplish. It is truly about who you become along the way. What lives are you impacting? How are you being impacted by the people that are in your world? And then naturally, if you just stay true to that, wake up every day and ask yourself, God, who are you putting in my path today? And what purpose can I serve? And just be open to whatever it is that day comes from, and then know that you have a chance to make a difference. Sometimes I just smile. Sometimes it's telling my son or my daughter that I love them, that has like completed their day. So just being very purposeful about what it is and who you want to become, because then that becomes your priority, and all the other stuff, it won't matter. We'll make it matter because we want to fill our time with stuff. And, again, in my team leader role, there's so many things that could get in the way from doing your one thing, and yet don't. Because then you're not going to get your one thing done, and then you feel bad at the end of the week or the end of the month or the end of the day. And then it just becomes this crazy cycle of I'm never enough. And you're always enough. Every person out there, you are enough exactly the way you are.
Clarity of purpose and priority. That's what I heard. Do the right things, but not every day is easy. So I want to know, when you're frustrated or upset or disappointed, how do you move from that back into the Leah that we're familiar with?
So it's going to depend on where I'm at. Oftentimes it is just take a deep breath, process what just transpired. Don't respond hot in the moment. I'm guilty of that. I've done that on numerous occasions, whether it's being a mom, a parent, a spouse, where you're just like, I want to be right. You didn't get it. And I found just take a deep breath, count to 10. I'm a big yogi. I love that breathing practice. I'm also a big journaler. If you know one thing, I write everything down. And I think that's also a part of where I am today and Bold really solidified that. I mean, I'm going to be taking my 22nd Bold with Amber in October. It's not that I'm a slow learner, guys. It's just we need that repetition and constant reminder of what the principles are of Bold. But that really helped me nail journaling and just being able to be clear on what emotions did I feel in that moment? Why did I feel that way? And how did I come out of that? So you can kind of reflect back. It was like we were taught to do that when we were kids. Remember our diary? We used to Dear Diary, this is what happened today. And then for some reason, when we grow older, we feel like we have it all figured out. No, you can still start with Dear Diary. So journaling, taking a deep breath, just kind of looking at the situation. Everybody is doing the best they can. It's very rare that people are doing things intentionally to hurt you. I don't know too many people that do that. They're acting in a way, or they're whatever it is. And it's okay, because they're just, kind of processing whatever's happening in their world. So just take a step back, take a deep breath, process it, and then you can go ahead and take action, not react.
What other advice would you give to somebody that just feels underwater, that feels behind, that feels like they can never catch up, that feels like there's a lack of balance? What would you tell them?
So I can tell you this, we just started, I don't know if you know this, James, but we just started homeschooling all 4 kids because, that's just what you do. And I felt that way last week. I thought, what on earth did we just do? Curriculum is arriving. I don't even know who's what. I don't even know what grades my kids are in, right? And so I did feel that way. And I had a good cry session, and it was totally good. And then I said, all right, Leah, just one step. Put one step in front of the other. And once you get that one step, it's kind of like the domino, right? The domino is falling, you're creating momentum, or the locomotive train is moving. Once you get past that first step, once you get past that first lead gen call, the rest of it becomes very, very simple. So you can't do it all at once, yet you can take one little step. And it reminded me after Hurricane Ian, I think you had asked me, like, what are you doing? Like, how do you get up every day? I said, I have to get up every day and just put one foot in front of the other. I have no idea what today is going to look like. I don't know what challenges are going to come our way. I don't know what obstacles we're going to face. And yet I just know that I'm going to tackle one thing at a time, and then I'm going to be able to be successful and win the day.
I want to go back to going into the pandemic, and now 4.5, coming up on 5 years since. Gary talks about how we underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years. Mm-hmm. So think about going into the pandemic and what you thought your world was going to look like compared to now. I don't know. What lessons have you learned from that?
What lessons? Wow, I've learned so many lessons. I think you can never be too prepared. And when I say too prepared, it doesn't mean you have to have all the answers. That's one thing I've learned as a leader is we don't have all the answers. We just have to be resourceful. And we have to be okay when we don't have the answer to say, you know what, I don't have that answer, because we put so much pressure to have it all figured out. And sometimes what we need to do as a leader is lead people through whatever it is that they're facing, not answer it, not fix it, not make it go away, is to kind of walk them through whatever it is that they're facing. And so once I really grasped that during the pandemic, I gave myself permission to say, Leah, you don't need to know what every day is going to look like. All you need to know is what did you do today and how can we make tomorrow even better, knowing that there's going to be additional challenges. I think too, really surround yourself with people who have gone before you. You can never have enough knowledge and experience, right? And even if somebody isn't tenured longer than you, they are very, very, very experienced. Even if somebody, this kind of goes back to my real estate days, in the day-to-day production, there were a lot of people that maybe hadn't sold as many houses that I had sold, yet they had mastered a piece of the business. I wanted to be in relationship with them. There were leaders that had mastered one specific thing in the TL role. I wanted to be in relationship with them. So it goes back to go find the people, go be in relationship with them. And then the most important thing is just get into action. Don't be a student of the business. Don't be a student of whatever it is that you're doing. The only way to learn is to move. And we talk a lot about that pretty much every single day. What did you say? You've got your infotainment, or you've got your inspiration, go put in the perspiration. Like you got to go do something. And during COVID, that's what it took, a lot of just get out there and do it. And know that not everybody's going to be along for the journey. And that is okay too. There's space for everybody.
You're the best. I love the advice you shared. Is there if you're sitting down and you had a final thought you want to share with somebody who's struggling in some way and you just want to encourage them to take that one step, what's that thought you want to leave them with?
I would say if you're feeling overwhelmed or underwater, just think of the one thing and maybe write it out on a piece of paper. What is one thing that would bring you joy today? What is one thing that would kind of bring energy to you? What is one thing that maybe you missed that brought you joy that you would like to figure out a way to bring it back? Just choose one thing, write that down, and then write all of the things that brings to you, right? So we did this exercise when agents talk about what do you love about your role? And oftentimes the things that we love are the things that we don't actually do because we're caught up doing the things that we don't actually like to do, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I think just be very, very clear. Don't say I want to go sell 50 homes between now and the end of the year, because if you haven't sold 50 homes before, that's probably going to be a challenge. Or if you're not on track, just think about what's the one thing that you can do today to move your business forward. And write that down. And in your personal life, what's the relationship maybe that you're lacking? What's the time maybe that you don't have for the people that you want? And how can you go make the time to spend with that person?
That's great. Leah, thank you. Appreciate you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, guys.